If you guys are trying to get into the endgame PvE content in Destiny 2, this is the guide for you. In this video, I'm going to be going over the weapons and perks you want to be using for GM or high-level story missions that are coming in the Witch Queen. And in the second part of this video, I'll be showing you how to make your own builds for high-end PvE content, and to also what to prioritize when you're making your loadout and your armor setup. And if this video helped you, or you learned something, it would be immensely helpful if you guys left a like and subscribe. It would really help push out the channel and really put a smile on my face. I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you guys learn something. You might notice in most of the perks I recommend for PvE, they're mostly about passive damage. You do not want to have to get a kill or proc something else just to do damage. It is much harder to get a kill in GM Nightfalls, and is really just good to have passive damage. For the first perk I'm going to be talking about is Frenzy. Frenzy gives a 15% passive damage while being in a fight for over 12 seconds, which is extremely helpful, and it also increases reload and stability. This is one of my favorite perks, and I love to use it on auto rifles because you can keep that damage, and with Witherhoard you can keep doing damage and keep yourself with a damaging buff. This was a ton of fun. But there is a bunch of other champion perks that I think are better just for champions. Like Vorpal. Vorpal you do not have to proc with any time or anything. All you have to do is shoot a yellow bar or a champion. This perk is one of my favorites, and on primary guns gives you a 20% buff. That was recently changed. On secondary guns it gives a 15%, and on heavy weapons it gives a 10%. And one of my favorite perks to use with Vorpal is Rapid Hit. Rapid Hit works amazingly on any kind of gun, and can really help you get that reload speed. All you need to do is hit headshots to get your reload speed faster. There's no kills involved, and can really help out with champions. And as you see in this guiding sight has One For All, which is the next perk I want to highlight. One For All is one of my favorite perks, and I think I prefer it over Frenzy, just because of how easy it is to proc. All you need to do is hit 3 enemies, and you have a 33% damage buff, which is crazy just for passive damage. This is really good against ads, and you can even proc it against ads and then use it against champions, which is really good. It's not as consistent as Vorpal though, but I still really do like it, because if you're one of those players that likes to use their primaries for mostly ad clear, this is what you want to be looking for. As you can see, this Darkest Before has One For All, but another perk I want to highlight is Overflow. Overflow is extremely helpful, and can really, in some cases, be better than Rapid Hit. After picking up ammo bricks, your mag is instantly reloaded, and can fill up to double capacity. This is extremely helpful, and can really be the difference between taking out a champion's shield and letting it heal up. Being on the topic of reload speed and overflowing the mag, Reconstruction is amazing. It passively reloads your gun, kind of like auto-loading holster. If you didn't know what auto-loading holster is, on this Akuda Finality, I have it on here. When you put it away, it instantly reloads the gun after a few seconds. This can really help if you forgot to reload your gun, and you don't get stuck in the open when there's a champion's shield up, so they don't heal up. Those are all the perks I wanted to highlight, but before we get into the builds, I wanted to talk about what kind of loadout you want to be using, comparing exotics and legendaries. In the next patch, legendary primaries are going to be doing much more damage, but as I am a fan of using special exotics, I don't know what to think about this change. I do like it, but I do also love using my Witherhoard and might keep sticking with it. Witherhoard, Lawrence Driver, or Arbalest are all amazing special exotics, and are my favorites, but I might have to try out the new primary exotics. But, in my opinion, I do not run exotic heavy weapons in GMs. It's truly just a waste. Unless you have unlimited ammo, you are not using consistently enough to actually keep your ammo and keep damaging champions consistently. In a raid, of course, you're going to be wanting to use all your heavy, but in a GM, that's a long game and takes very long time. You want to have consistent damage, like Witherhoard, that slowly melts damage and uses up very little. You can use these all Nightfall, and can sometimes have infinite ammo with different perks and options like finishers. with Aeon Safe. That's all what I really think is mostly important about the loadouts. But for the build making, there really isn't that many specific things you could do for building, except a few simple tips. You should be trying to maximize your uptime. And these builds shouldn't be about just damage. There should be a lot of protection and resilience going on. Your resist and strength is probably the best thing you should do for GMs, because not getting one shot can completely save a run. Using resist mods on your chest piece can be extremely helpful and can stop snipers from one-shotting you. I also think Protective Light should be in almost most builds, unless you're using a melee-focused build that you need the strength. Protective Light is just so helpful. Protective Light, when you're at really low health at red bar, it will give you 4 resist, which is a 40% nerf to incoming damage, which is extremely helpful and can really save you in those really hard situations. Also, things like Stag Rift can be nutty with a 20% damage nerf to enemies' bullets. It can save you from one-shotting and can really just help you survive against a bunch of ads. Surprisingly, if you don't go into specifics about each build, there's very little hints you can do about builds. Mostly, I just think it's all about uptime. If you're running a super build, you should be getting those supers under 2 minutes. If you're running a grenade build, you should be able to spam your grenades. It's all about uptime. You don't want to just be using your guns. You want to always be spamming your abilities. And whichever ability you choose, you have to go all into. I've seen a bunch of people running Warlock Stasis with the Bleak Watcher aspect, and they're only running 30 Discipline. That's pretty pitiful. You're only getting your grenade every almost 2 minutes, which is insane and is really stupid. You should be running 100 Discipline, or at least above 80 if you're running a Discipline build. I would recommend Grenade Kickstarter or Melee Kickstarter, whichever your build is about. You should really go all into it. And to stay alive and to perform the best, you need it to be maximizing your potential. Stasis is great like that. If you can keep getting grenades back, you can keep enemies frozen forever. There's not really that much to be said about build crafting. Those general tips were basically the end of them. If you're really looking for good builds and high stats, I would say go to Dares of Eternity and grind some armor. But first, you should probably complete the legendary story missions in Witch Queen if you're already there. Those are going to bring up your power, and just to compete in the GMs or any high level activities, you're going to need that power level in the 1500s. I really appreciate you guys if you made it to this part. It means so much, and just puts a smile on my face. Every new person I see in the comments just brings light to my day. I really appreciate you guys being there, and I hope you guys also have an amazing day. Goodbye, guys!